Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our ClaritySoft webinar. Today is Tuesday, September 10th, 2019. I'm Susan Arnold, Implementation Specialist here at ClaritySoft, and our topic this week is on leveraging Excel reports. This webinar is designed to give you a basic introduction to using Excel reports in ClaritySoft. There are three ways to create reports in ClaritySoft. The easiest one to learn is just using the reports module. You can create very quick and easy reports, which are in lists, basically lists and groups, subgroups. You cannot put formulas into those templates that you create. The second method is using the advanced reports, which does allow you to put some calculations into it and gives you a little bit more capabilities. But then Excel reports are your most sophisticated way to create reports because you can not only add formulas to your templates, but you also can pull data from multiple modules in ClaritySoft. Today we're going to do a very simple report. We're going to build an opportunity report that pulls in our current opportunities or opportunities for the current month. So it'll be very simple. We'll create a pivot table and a pivot chart from that data. But the steps that you will learn will apply to any other report that you want to design. So once you get the basics of creating an Excel report, then those of you that are really super duper Excel users can take off and come up with some really good ideas. So you're not really limited in what you can do as long as you can build those Excel formulas to get there. So the first thing, just a quick overview, and then we'll build the report. And the steps that you follow basically is you build your foundation template, which is very similar to what you do in the reports module. You decide, first of all, what module you're pulling your data from, what fields you're pulling in, and what filter you need on that. Then you take that basic template that you've created, download it, then you can open it and do your modifications to add your pivot table, your pivot chart, your formulas that you might want to add, and you build that whole template and save it. Then you upload it to ClaritySoft and save it out there, and then you can run it. So we'll walk through those steps, and hopefully if you've tried doing this and you got a little bit confused, this will help clarify some issues that you've had. For those of you that have been in webinars before, there is a Q&A panel that you can ask questions in. I'll do my best to answer them during the session. So sit back, relax, and let's see what we can come up with right now. So as I said, this report is going to be pulling the current opportunities that have a close date of this current month. Okay, so it would basically kind of a pipeline report. And so what I tend to do whenever I want to create any report in ClaritySoft, I like to go to the module and run a filter that would be the filter I want to use in the report. And I do this to test, to see if my data is accurate, number one, if it needs updating, and to just test my filter to make sure it's working the way I want. Once I've done that in the module, then I can just repeat that filter that I've created in the report. So that's what I want to do here. So currently I have a list and I'm showing all my opportunities. Well, what I want to do is I want to restrict, so I'm only seeing those opportunities that have a close date of September 2019. So to do that, I'm going to go here to my Spyglass Advanced Search. I'm going to use my time filter, and I want it based on the close date for the opportunity, and I want it for this 1 month. Now you could do one for next month if you're looking ahead to see what you have open for next month. So, again, you can do any combination, or not any combination, but any selection of the time period that you want to pull. So I'm going to search and see what I get. So I get 16 records here. And I'm looking at my sales stage and I see, oh, well, some of them are won or lost. And then down here, I have a no decision. Well, I don't really want those because won, they're already done, lost is gone, and no decision is sort of out, and it's not there as being active right now. So I want to modify this filter, so I'm not going to pull in these particular stages. And so on the advanced search view up here at the top, I can edit the view. And then I'm going to go to my standard filter and say, well, stage is not equal to 1 and stage is not equal to lost. And stage is not equal to no decision. Now, what you may have to do, it's possible that your company has changed these. So you'll want to look at the spelling if you're using the not equal, because they do have to be spelled the same way. That's another reason why it's good to do this ahead of time in the module. So now I'm down to 12 records, and I don't see one lost and no decision anymore. So my filter, the way I have it set, is working. Now, if I wanted to, which I probably would do, I would save this as current month active opportunities. You don't have to, but okay. So I've got that here, so I could switch between all opportunities and the current month one that I just created. Okay, so that's there. So I've tested my filter. Now I'm going to go to Excel reports. I'm also going to mention here, it is possible that you don't see Excel reports in your database. Depending on what level of ClaritySoft you have purchased, you may not have access to Excel reports. So if you don't see them over here in your navigation panel, you may not have them and you need to talk to your account rep. Okay, everyone has reports for sure, but you may not have Excel reports, and it's possible up here under the tools menu that you also do not see advanced reports. So just check that out in your database and find out for sure. All right, so I'm in Excel reports. In Excel reports, you get to create your own folders, and then you can save your reports to those various folders. And so the first thing I would want to do is create a new folder if there is an appropriate one there. So I'm just going to call it Susan Reports. So I now have a new folder for myself here. And then I can click on New Excel Report. So first of all, it's asking me what folder do I want to save it in. So I want to put it in my new folder that I just created. Then I give the report a name. So I'm going to say this is whatever you want to call it, okay? And then if you want to put a description in here, you can, all right? And that goes in the description. So let's just say this is Okay, and then you click Save. So what that is now doing, similar to the reports module, it's making a connection and giving you a name, so it's already saved. Now, source type. This is your first step of choosing what module is this report pulling data from. So in this case, we're doing opportunities. Now notice that you do have opportunities and opportunity details, quotations and quote details. The details part will also pull in item information, product item information. So if you were trying to do a report where you were pulling in the product items that were listed on the products and services tab in the opportunity record, then you would choose the details. I don't need any of that. I simply want the amount that the opportunity is worth, and that's just in opportunities. So I'm going to choose that. Then you need to give the source sheet a name, because this is going to create a sheet in the workbook. And so I'm just going to call it opportunities. Again, you may name it anything you want. You could call it active opportunities, whatever. And then I save it. Now, if I wanted to, I could also, after I go through these steps, I could add a second source. So when you add your source, you're first of all picking the module, then we're picking the fields from that module. So over here, I want the account, and I'm holding the control key down. So I want the amount, the close date. Don't necessarily need the contact. But I want since you're doing a pivot table, you could pull in some other fields here that would allow you to pivot to different pieces of information. So I'm doing the opportunity name. I definitely want the owner. I want the stage. And then any custom fields that you might want here. Let's see. We could do that one. So I'm going to kick all these over here, and then I'm going to move these around. So if you've done reports, this is very much the same thing. So and you put these in the order in which you want them to display. All right. Then you choose how to sort your columns. So I'm going to say sort by the account first, and then secondly by the close date, or you could do the owner. It doesn't really matter. Close date will be fine. And then you go to your filter criteria. So now this is where I want to build exactly what I just built in the opportunities module. So I'm going to choose close date, this 1 month, and then I'm going to do the standard filter and rebuild what I did in there. And as long as you spell everything the same way, it should work. Okay, so I've got my filter and everything is set up, so I'm going to click Save. So I now have completed setting up my source sheet. And as I said a few minutes ago, if I wanted to add another source, I could click on here. I could choose from a different module and walk through the same steps, so I can add as many source sheets as I want into my report. Okay, we're only going to do one today. In a future one, we'll do multiple ones. So once I'm done with that, I click the back button, at the top left here, and I go back, and now I can see in my folder, here is my report. All right, so the next step then is to click on the row action button and download the template. And what it does is down here in your tray, it puts the Excel spreadsheet. And then when you get in here, you'll need to click Enable Editing. And Enable Content to enable the macros. All right. And then you're going to say to yourself, well, this is lovely. I have a completely blank spreadsheet in front of me. So what did I do incorrectly? Well, don't panic. Down here, you see sheet 1 and you see your opportunities sheet. So you click on that, and then you're going to say, well, that doesn't make any sense either. Now what do I do? So what this has done is it's just showing you the structure of your spreadsheet and the way your data will come in, okay? So this is a little bit cryptic and a little bit hard to work with. And I'm going to walk you through doing this, and then I'm going to show you another way to do it that maybe will be easier, especially for those that aren't super duper Excel people. But we'll carry on here for a minute because I want to walk you through the process. So sheet 1 is actually going to become where we want to create our pivot table and our pivot chart. So I'm going to go to sheet 1 and click somewhere up in this upper left corner like A3, B3, something like that, where you want the pivot table to land. All right. Then I'm going to click on Insert and go to Pivot Table. And the first thing it's asking me then, well, where is it pulling the data from? What is the table range that it's pulling, or the table or the range of cells it's pulling the data from? So what you want to do is you want to click in there, make sure the insertion point is in there, go down, click on the Opportunities tab, and you'll see it's starting to build it, and then you're going to select the column, including the column headings, the first couple of rows there, but you're also going to drag down however many rows you think would be the maximum number of records that would pull from your database any current month where you're listing the current opportunities. For some of you, it could be, a few hundred. For some of you, it might only be 15 or 20. So you just drag down that cell range as far as you want to go, and you can always modify it here if you need to. But you drag it, and then it puts that range in there for you, and you're creating this in the existing worksheet, not a new worksheet, and you click OK. So now I've got a pivot table here, and it has my column headings. So I can say, well, I want this to be done by the owner, and I want the amount. So again, it looks a little cryptic over here because I don't have any real data. So you're not totally certain what you're doing. So one of the things you could do is you can come back over here and just pull down 3 or 4 rows. Then you could put in an owner. And maybe pull down a few rows here, put in another one, and drag down a few rows here, and then oops. Okay, So now if I go back to my pivot table, suddenly I see some people. So it starts to look like it's making sense. But then the values here don't make sense. So if I come over here to the amounts, I can just type in some amounts. And just, you know, put in anything. It doesn't really matter what you do. Okay, so just put in some numbers to get numbers in. All right, so then I can come back over here and now I see some logic to what's going on, okay? Then you can, these blanks are all those blank rows that you have. So if you click here, you can say, well, I don't want to see the blanks and I don't want to see the sum text data ones. So then it gets you down to your people. So that's how you can do that, is you can just put in some sample data for the pivot table that you're building so that it makes sense to you, all right? And then you can carry on. And one of the things you want to do is right-click on this pivot table and go to Pivot Table Options and click on the Data tab, and then click in the checkbox that says Refresh Data when opening the file. So it's always going to refresh the data. And then click OK there, all right? And then you can, we want to add our pivot chart because we want that to be part of the template that we're building. So while we're clicked on this, then you can go back to the Insert menu and go to Pivot Chart, and they have recommended charts here, so you can go either place. I'm just going to click on Recommended, and then you can pick the type of chart that you want. I'm just going to do a column chart. It will insert it, and again, you'll see actual data because you've put some sample data in, and then you can stretch it larger because depending on how many salespeople you might have coming in here, you might want it bigger. And then you can begin to format your chart. So if I click over here on the plus sign for chart elements, then I can turn things on and off. One of the things I don't need is this legend. So I can uncheck the legend to turn it off. And I might want to put data labels in so it puts the amounts at the tops of the columns. All right. And you can do that. And then here you can click to choose, first of all, a style of chart. If you want to give it this shaded and kind of gradient background look, you can do that. Then you can click on the color tab and choose a different set of colors for your chart, whatever your corporate colors are or the mood for the day. You can pick, all right? And then you can begin to do other formatting that you might want to do for the numbers. And maybe I wanted not some of the amount, I just want to put total or something like that. And when I click that, see that will change here. And row labels, I might want to put sale rep. So it will change that. Okay, so you could just begin to do that, and then your numbering, you can come up here, whoops. And choose number format, no decimal places, but put some commas in. So that will change in your chart as well. So you'll see the numbers format themselves properly. So again, you just keep working with it and format it the way you want until you've got it all set up the way you want. One thing that I would probably do is these grid lines in the background look kind of messy. So if I go to the view menu, I can turn off the grid lines for the spreadsheet, and then that just looks a little bit nicer, cleaner for the chart, okay? So do all the things that you want to do, and this is your template that you're setting up. So once you have it all set up the way you want it, before you save it, you want to go back to the Opportunities tab, select all this data, and delete it. Then when you go back to here, your chart is, all this stuff is here, but it goes blank because you took away the data. Now I forgot to change the title here. So all right. So now I'm ready to save my template. And so I'm just going to come up here and do a save as. And then I just happen to have a folder. Oops. That's right here. And you can use the title that's right here. Notice it has the word template in it. So I think I'm good on the name. Okay. Just make sure I don't have a duplicate name. So now I've saved my template. And I can close my file. Returns me back to ClaritySoft. And the next step that I want to do is upload the template. So then I have to go back to my folder where it was saved. And here is the one I just created. So I click on it and click open, and then ClaritySoft is going to say it's saved successfully. And now I'm ready to just run it. So now I can just click on it to run the report. So what should happen is my data from my opportunities module, according to the formula or the filter that I set up in the report, will pull in, and it's on the opportunities sheet. So you can see that I needed that longer range in the pivot table range so that it would accommodate them, all the records that come in. And then here is my information. Now this says a total of 92,188. And if I go back over here and I do this, notice that down here it says 98,187. So something's missing. Well, if you look here, I have a Katie Hall sitting here. And Katie's numbers are not showing up here. So if you find that occurring, you come back to this filter button, and lo and behold, Katie Hall is not selected because she wasn't in that original set of data that I put in. So just double check that in case things are not turned on that should be, or they are turned on and shouldn't be. And because if I turn blank on, I'm going to get an addition to the chart, perhaps. I guess, well, there, yeah, right there. See, there's blank, which messes up your chart. So you don't want that, so you turn blank off in the filter. But now Katie is here, and now my total matches what my total is over here. which was the 97, 187, 92, so 188 to round it. All right. So that's how you can create the chart, and you run the report, and this is what you would see. Okay. And you know, creative things that you can do. You could insert another source sheet, say for quotations or for sales. And then on the same sheet one, you could have additional pivot tables or charts that pull in that show you where you could have a group of, you know, here are the opportunities, here are the quotes we did, here are the sales we had for the current month. And they could all be on the same sheet here. But they're pulling from different source data sheets, okay? So here, that's all there is to doing that. Now, the other way I'm going to show you, and then you would save this. You know, you could save it if you want to. I'm not going to, but you would save it. And then the other nice thing you can do with your reports once you create them, just like with the other reports in ClaritySoft, you can schedule them to run. So if you click on the row action button, you can go to schedule, and then you can say, I want this to run weekly, monthly. You know, maybe you want it to run weekly so you can kind of see your progress through the month, how your pipeline changes. And then you can say what day it should run. You know, should it run every Monday morning? Should it run every Friday? What do you want it? When do you want it to start? When do you want it to end? Never means it goes on forever. Okay. And then you choose what report format you want it in, PDF, Excel, or CSV. And then you put in the email addresses of the people that you want to send it to. So if I put in here, and then you separate your next one with a comma. So you put your first email address and then a comma and then the next email address, and then you save it. And then from that point forward, every Monday now, unless I go in and turn this off, I will get this report in my email. So I'll have it waiting in my inbox Monday morning when I come in to work. So you can schedule it and have it send to the appropriate people. Okay. Now let me show you another method to do this that might be a little simpler for you. So I'm going to start another new Excel report real quick. And this will go in the same folder. Let's see. And I won't give it a description. We're basically going to go walk through the same steps. I'm pulling from opportunities again. Source sheet name. Suppose I could copy and paste that to make it faster. Maybe not. Okay, do the columns again. Let's see, where are we here? Opportunity. Owner. Stage. Okay, that's good. It's over here. Okay. We'll do the same thing. And we'll set up the same filter criteria. So all of this is going to be the same. Then the next step we do is where I'm going to digress a little bit, and you can try this method to see if it makes more sense to you. As I must admit, when I first encountered working with Excel reports, it was kind of like, so now what do I do? kind of thing. And it took me a while to get the steps in my head, and I still have to review them. All right, so now I have this. Now before, what I did is I went to the row action button and I did a download of the template, which then gave us that some text data row of all that stuff that didn't make any sense. So the other method that you can try is, instead of doing the download of the template, you just click on the report and run it. So what will happen here is it will actually bring in your data. So you'll still have the blank sheet 1, but when you go to opportunities, you'll now have all your data, which now makes a little more sense to you, because now you're seeing data and not just that cryptic some text data, okay? Then you just follow the same steps as before, is you create your pivot table and your pivot chart, and the data is already there. So it's pretty quick and easy to see that it's functional. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go select my range and go down however many rows I think I need to go down. Or you can type it in here too. So I could change this number to 100. Okay. So that sets my range, and then I bring in my owner and my amount. So that now I'm seeing actual numbers, and you can see it's pulling in the numbers that we were looking at before. So that begins to make more sense to you. And then you can insert your chart and build your chart very quickly. Do all the same things we did before of formatting the chart. Notice I got the blanks. So I'm going to come over here and click here and turn off the blanks. I'm also going to right click again in the pivot table and go to pivot table options, data tab, refresh data when opening the file. So that's done. I can format everything. Now, once I have all the formatting done like I did before I save the template, I go back to the opportunity sheet and I will do exactly what I did before, is delete the data. So my chart will blank out, everything will blank out, and then I can do a file and save as, go to my folder, so I'll just say this is current activities opportunity. I guess that will work. Yeah. So now I've saved the file, and then I can close it, and then I come back here and I do the next step, which is to upload the template. So the only step that's different is I don't download the template. I just run the report and create my template from that. So where am I? Current active opportunities. This is the most recent one. So I just say open it, it uploads it. And then when I run it, and I purposely left this unfinished so you could see the difference. It will come up with what I did. So that's a little bit easier in my mind. It's easier to do it that way because then you are looking at your actual data, especially if you're starting to build not just pivot tables or charts, you're building formulas that are doing things that are pulling data from one sheet to another. I think it's much easier to work with the actual data that's going to pull into the workbook rather than doing, you know, this cryptic, some text data kind of thing. So try both methods, and that way see what you can come up with Excel reports. Like I said, they're, once you get the basics of them, then you can kind of take off with your own skills in Excel and your own capabilities of building formulas and things like that. So if you're a super Excel whiz, I think you'll find this to be something that says, wow, I can do all these things I've been trying to do with reports and couldn't. So give them a try, see what you think, and then we'll come up with another webinar in another month or so that builds one with polls data from 2 modules so that you can see how that will work, and just keep building some different webinars based on more complex types of reports so we can move everyone along on your skill levels with building them. So that's all I have for today on Excel reports. So let's return back to here. And first of all, thanks for attending. We had a nice sized group again today. And if you need any help, you can call our support team at 888-838-7487 extension 2 or email them at support@claritysoft.com. If you're still working with Linda or myself in Quick Start, we'll do our best to help you with things that you're trying to create. And then again, give us future ideas, critiques on the current ones that you've seen. And I have a question here from Karen. Will we have a copy of the recording sent to us? You will get a link to the recording. Usually the recording is out on the web page on the support portal within a couple of days. So it should be there by Thursday or Friday. And you also have an email sent to you with a link to that recording. So you can access it either way. All right, well, thank you very much for attending today. Hopefully you learned some good things and you can go back and say, whoa, I'm going to work on this the rest of the afternoon and see what I can come up with. And then hopefully we'll see you for future webinars. Thank you and have a wonderful afternoon.